मुंबई में घर के लिए लैंड एक्सपेंसिव है, but there's another real estate crisis that nobody talks about. Space for the dead. मुंबई में एक प्रॉब्लम है जो लिविंग पीपल को तो ऑलरेडी पता है. There is simply not enough space. घर छोटा, ऑफिस एक्सपेंसिव, पार्किंग नहीं, लैंड प्राइसेस क्रेजी. बट मुंबई का लैंड प्रॉब्लम अब एक ऐसी जगह रीच कर रहा है जिसके बारे में no one talks about. Where do we make space for people after they die? Because Mumbai and the larger metropolitan region are facing serious pressure on burial ground capacity for some communities. And interestingly, this is starting to change something which people have followed for generations. How they choose their final rights. But ये story death के बारे में कम है. It is actually a fascinating case study about real estate, capacity management, changing behavior, and the business created when a city runs out of space. For communities where burial is traditionally preferred, every burial requires something Mumbai has very little of: land. And unlike an apartment, एक grave को vertical tower में 40 floors तक simply build नहीं कर सकते. That creates a fundamental urban planning problem. A recent report from Mumbai found that cremation is gradually becoming more common among Roman Catholics. Where cemetery shortages, grave maintenance costs, and family living overseas are among the reasons being cited. One Mumbai priest estimated that around 10 out of every 100 Catholic funerals he now encounters end in cremation, compared with just 1 or 2 out of 100 roughly 2 decades ago. Think about that. Religion suddenly changed नहीं हुआ. The city changed, the economics changed, families changed, and therefore consumer behavior started changing. The pressure is visible in the legal systems too. In February 2026, the Bombay High Court dealt with long-running complaints over inadequate burial grounds in Thane and Mirabayandar, part of the wider Mumbai metropolitan region. The court noted that land had already been embarked for burial grounds, but projects remained incomplete. It ordered authorities to hand over designated land and complete burial ground development within 2 years, with suitable alternative land to be identified where designated plots were genuinely unavailable. And Mumbai itself had seen similar fights over land. At Bandra Reclamation, a plot reserved for burial grounds and other public facilities became the subject of an 8-year legal battle before an agreement was reached to hand the reserved land over to the BMC. And here comes the interesting part. Mumbai में land का competition सिर्फ residential versus commercial नहीं है. It is housing, roads, metro, hospitals, schools, parks, commercial development, and even cemeteries. Every square meter has an opportunity cost. Traditional burial is a land-intensive model, and when land becomes scarce and expensive, the market naturally starts searching for alternatives that use less physical space. That can create demand for crematorium infrastructure, electric crematoriums, columbariums, small niches designed to store urns, funeral management services, premium urns, memorial services, long-term cemetery management, and potentially even digital memorial product. And there are 3 lessons I take from this. Whenever something becomes scarce, land, water, time, labor, electricity, look at what alternatives people begin paying for. That is often where the next business opportunity appears. Nobody wakes up saying, I need a more space-efficient funeral ecosystem, but cemetery capacity becomes a problem. Families move abroad, maintenance becomes difficult, and suddenly a new service becomes available. So problems create markets before markets can create problems. We constantly discuss AI startups, D2C brands, food delivery, fintech, but cities have hundreds of invisible industries around. Waste, parking, water, cemeteries, funeral services, public toilets, traffic, storage. So essentially, real estate scarcity starts reshaping the death care industry. A Mumbai undertaker recently said cremation requests that were once unusual have become much more common. He now handles at least once a week. Families with children living overseas may also find ashes easier to manage than maintaining a grave thousands of kilometers away. That is a classic consumer behavior. People don't necessarily abandon tradition because somebody marketed an alternative. Sometimes circumstances force the market to innovate. But what about religion? Now an important clarification. Among Catholics, cremation itself is not prohibited by the church. The Vatican says burial remains the preferred practice, but cremation is permitted provided it is not chosen for reasons contrary to Christian doctrine. So technology and economics are not necessarily replacing the faith. Instead, we are seeing something much more interesting. Tradition adapting to urban reality. And Mumbai is a perfect laboratory for this. Because when you put high population, extremely expensive land, old infrastructure, changing family structures together, some established behavior eventually has to change. And somebody is building a business around every one of them. So is Mumbai literally running out of space for every dead person? No. But the shortage of adequate burial space affecting sections of Mumbai and its metropolitan region is real enough that it has reached courts, civic authorities, and families deciding how their loved ones should be laid to rest. And that makes this much bigger than a cemetery story. It is a reminder that in a city where every square foot has its value, even our oldest traditions eventually collide with economics. And whenever economics forces behaviors to change, a new business eventually isn't that far behind.